This sheet is what we're proposing, correct? But we don't have last year's to compare with it. Figures.
You ready?
What color were we using last year?
Green, wasn't it?
All right, good evening all. Welcome to a special board meeting, Town of Lake Luzerne, October 5th. Please rise and salute the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. To the republic.
Councilman Hanlon,
Here.
Councilman Lewandowski.
Here.
Councilman Niles,
Here,
Supervisor Moreno.
Here. All right, as you all know, what we're here for is to hand out. Cynthia got the budget last Friday, stamped it. We got it on time. Now this is just a tentative budget. What we're doing tonight is really just passing it out. There'll be no discussion on it. I want all you gentlemen to take it for a couple of weeks. Look through it.
well, I like this color.
And any changes you feel you need to make. I appreciate if it's in writing, but if it isn't, go stop and see Colleen and maybe she can answer your question or I can answer it. This is just tentative. Anything you change, we could change when we have our regular budget meeting that will discuss the budget. So I just want to give you plenty of time to,
What's the next milestone?
the next milestone is what?
Public hearing.
Huh?
Doesn't
The
have,
public hearing is
doesn't have a date.
end of October, usually
Okay.
into November. So I think 2 weeks would be enough to spend some time. You guys can just go over this and
Colleen, you pretty much know it, frontwards and backwards.
unfortunately. And the extra sheet that Colleen just gave you, we're calling the cheat sheet. This will tell you what every number on there
Oh, great. Yeah.
goes to. We tried to get a spreadsheet working, but it was a lot of work to get that done. But this will tell you every A1220.1 supervisor, all the way down, all these sheets, so that you can bring it to the budget and know in that budget what it's really calling for.
So it's okay with you if we go right to Colleen with questions?
I have no problem. Colleen knows the answers. But just, yeah, but make sure if you have a question, let's say we all get together and have them written down and then we can. So we don't have to sit here and say, oh geez, I don't know the answer to that. I'd like to have the answers to the questions before the questions come. So,
Well, like I said, I'd like to copy of last year's budget.
oh, there's plenty of them.
But I can give you a copy of that question. But all the actual columns, last year's numbers are right now.
Oh, yeah, it's got 2021 and 2022.
The only thing I will tell you,
Hold on, Gene, look at the gray thing. up here.
Yeah, I see it.
See it?
the only thing I'll tell you just off the top, yeah, I got 22 budget in front of me at 21. This budget here is, and Colleen printed it out too, it's about almost $27,000 higher than last year. Okay,
Well, how are we looking
That would be under the cap, right?
we're under the cap. I got,
by?
about, we didn't even get to 1% to that, so we're in good shape.
We're
Yeah.
in very good shape. Yeah. I need to go back and check that number again. I believe we're about 35,000 under.
Yeah.
The 2% cap, but don't think it's that there. I need to go back and check that again.
Okay,
When I looked tonight, I don't. see anything.
35,000.
Is there anybody on there, Chris?
There's one attendee in private.
Okay.
All right. So that's just like I say, the bottom line, it's roughly 27,000 higher than last year.
Thank you.
The amount to be raised, that's the amount to be raised by taxes. And the total budget's about 200,000 roughly higher than last year. So, like I say, it's easier to take it home, look at it. Got any questions? Colleen's in every day, or you could go home. And I can, but most of the stuff that she's got down here, this is all the information, you really general fund, highway, water, all this stuff here gives you an idea of what it went up or down from last year. But we'll get you need a copy of last year's budget, that's easy. We got plenty of them around. All right, so with that, do we need it? We don't need a resolution. They need a resolution to accept it?
No,
No? Okay, so we don't need a resolution to accept the budget or not.
it's just noted that I passed it out.
That's
Duly noted,
all right. It's duly noted that
although Dooley's not here.
Cynthia passed it out timely. All right. So with that part of the budget, we're gonna end that part of the budget because we have a little bit more, something important to go on. I hate to have it at the last minute, but we just finding out last minute on, there's a couple of changes from Blue Cross and Blue Shield on the health part of it that we went over. And just come up to the mic. It's easy, you know, then people anybody on YouTube.
Okay.
We have-
Just pass this out.
Thank you. Thank you for showing.
Appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank you, boss.
Okay, so. Hi, Mark. Hi, Mark. Well, let me back up a little bit. So the town has had Blue Shield of Northeastern New York for a number of years. Blue Shield is turning into Highmark Blue. Highmark acquired Blue Shield last year, and it's just finally starting to kick in where they're changing employers as of their anniversary date in 22. So the town officially turns from Blue Shield to Highmark as of December, if you stay with them. In doing that, though, some of the rules we met not long, well, probably a month ago now, right? 3 weeks, I lose track. But we were going over the renewal as it is, what it would look like if we stayed with them. And it really at the time made the most sense to do so. Since then, within the last really 10 days or so, Highmark has changed their underwriting rules significantly, which doesn't matter a ton to the private business, but it matters quite a bit for your municipal business. And this does not apply to larger municipalities like Warren County. This applies to any employer, and particularly municipalities under 100. So what they're ceasing to do as of your renewal date is cover what I'm going to just label as early retirees. So these are people that retire somewhere before they hit Medicare age, right? So they're 62, 59, 64, whatever. And they're going to stop covering those. And it's my understanding, and Colleen would have to, back me up, but I think you have a few of those folks on the five, right? So it's a big switch. It's a huge change when they made that rule. Again, not too many private companies cover early retirees anymore, particularly small ones. So this is really hitting municipalities hard. So technically, you can absolutely renew with Highmark, but realistically, probably not, right? Because of your situation, we wouldn't be able to cover those people with Highmark anymore. And there's any other company, and in our area, you probably all know, we have 4 kind of the usual suspects of carriers. One of them you have, which is Highmark. The other one's Empire Blue. Then you have, bless you, you have CDP, HP, and MVP. Those are kind of the usual suspects in our region. Big companies like United Healthcare and Cigna and Aetna don't have a presence in our region. So we're down to 4, which is still better than most areas, honestly.
So Highmark didn't buy Empire?
No, they're 2 separate entities entirely. Yep. So to continue that thought, as far as early retirees are concerned, we can't also have another company come in like an MVP and just insure your early retirees. They would want the whole bag, the whole ball of wax. They're not going to just take up part of it. You do have an option. You do have a few options, but it's going to, there's some change probably that'll invariably have to come with it. So what you have in front of you, there's 2 pages, as I've always tried to do over the years, is take the millions of plans that exist and boil it down to a sum that, we can easily look at and that makes sense. So if you look at it from left to right, and I know there's a lot going on in these pages, the left-hand side is on page 1 is the current plan that you're in. Those are today's rates. Okay. The plan to the immediate right in that column, that's the Highmark plan that your blue plan would be turning into, and the plan itself isn't changing. You'll see the note on top though, where Highmark is no longer covering early retirees. Okay. But that plan had a 7.18% rate increase. Incidentally, that's kind of what we're seeing across the board. I will say 2023 is shaping up to be much worse. Inflation is hitting the medical side of everything too. So, I'm just full of good news tonight. I know. So that's the Highmark plan. As we continue to kind of push toward the right, I can go over some of these. Some of them are here just for reference. Okay. MVP really is our only practical option at this point.
Say that again.
MVP, Mohawk Valley Plan. When I say that, it's because, well, I guess it's a little bit situational. Let me put it that way. So if we span to the right a little bit, there's that MVP plan that I'm going to skip over for a minute. But if you go to Empire and then CDPHP, if you look at the note on the top, it's tricky. So they will technically cover your early retirees, but they won't cover a spouse that's left on the plan. So as an example, you have a 65-year-old that retires, goes to Humana, but their spouse is 62. They won't. Right. It's typical. Yeah. So there's some little holes that we can fall into with some of these other companies that, would make it awfully hard to keep your promise. So in that CDPHP has that, and so does Empire. So MVP is the one company that will allow early retirees. They will follow your guidelines if that's what you have to cover spouses that are younger than the employee that's on Medicare, as an example, which, again, invariably every town has those. So let me stop there. I want to see if there's any questions. I know I'm keeping at a decent pace here, but
So just one before we go, so you're saying right now, we can't keep the plan that we planned on having and have a special plan for these other few people.
correct.
So, we have what, about 35 or so employees that are covered, so.
Well,
for-
on the bottom left, you'll see the counts. This isn't counting your Humana retirees, your
Mhm.
Medicare retirees, but it
Right.
looks like you have 18 active employees or early retirees that you're currently today covering. 3 single, 10 with spouse, and 5 that are full family. And your early retirees are in that. Colleen, you think it's like 5?
Mm.
Yeah, we don't get the census, or we lose track of the ages.
Gene,
So 5 of these 18 are the ones we're talking about? Or there's 5 more?
They're they're in here.
They're in.
They're in there. So the 5 of the 18, call it a third or so of your issue.
what's the possibility of teaming up with another small town? To get us up over, what is it, 100 people?
You don't have an ability to do it other than we would have to do it. And we've talked to the county about this. We've been working with the county for about 6 years, and it falls under shared services, similar to how you would purchase other things. And it really would have to start at the county level. There is a mechanism to do it, but you need critical mass. We have to get 2,000 members on. So we would have to really pull in Warren, Washington, which we could, Warren, Washington, Greensburg, Glens Falls. to be able to do that. It's, you have to set up a corporation. It's a big deal. We've
Well, like you
invested.
did for the county, basically. That's what I'm
We've talked about it. Yeah, we've looked into it. There's pros and cons on all sides.
Just so you
honestly.
know, these guys did a county thing about 6 years ago about that.
Yeah, we've
right?
been on for 6 years.
And it's worked out beautiful. And we really saved a lot of money. Thank you to you and your company at the
Thank
county.
you.
But that's not feasible for us to do at all.
Is that a self-insurance thing?
The county self-insurance.
You mentioned just a quick, you mentioned United Healthcare. They cover the state employees, right?
Mhm.
They don't have a presence in the area based on covering municipalities, or they have a lot of state workers. in this area, But
The companies like that, they do work in the large group market. They don't have any presence in the small group market.
yeah, this New York State's a large group market.
Yeah,
That's okay. Now it makes sense.
Right. So, don't get me, we're most likely going to have to make some changes. I don't want to, go too crazy with it. You have a option that is about around the same rate that your high mark plan was going to turn into.
That's the 8.07%.
That's the 8.07 on the far right. That's with MVP. That is MVP's HMO plan. Okay. So
Is that anywhere as near apples to apples in terms of coverage? benefits,
it's fairly
and so on?
close if you read down
If
there.
you read the course, yeah, you can see.
I know, but
you were,
can't read that fast.
Cheaper copay.
you might have been asking, is it apples to apples from like a network standpoint?
No, for out-of-pocket costs and all that.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, here's the thing, we're never gonna get perfect match for any of this ever. But it's pretty close. This is still, the Affordable Care Act, so better known as Obamacare, 10 years ago now gave us 4 different plan levels: platinum, gold, silver, and bronze. So all this on this page 1, these are all platinum plans. These are the best that you can get that the companies offer. Now, I don't want I'll just say it in case you may ask it at some point, what is an HMO? Is that restrictive? It's not terribly different than your current plan. You really operate and stay in their network of providers. MVP's network in the region is really a little, you wouldn't think it, but it's a little larger than the local Blue network. It goes from, call it Plattsburgh out to Syracuse, down to Poughkeepsie. Okay, so for people in our region, me included, we go to Glens Falls Hospital, they're in the network, all the doctors in the area. I shouldn't say all, we'd have to check it, but doctors around here accept just about every insurance carrier that is in the market. So I wouldn't anticipate any doctor shortage or fallout for people who use coverage in the region. The MVP network, not that people would probably use it, but it extends into Vermont. Very, very good. MVP has a very strong presence in Vermont, although your people aren't terribly likely to use that. But yes, what this gets you away from having to do, we've talked about it over the years. Many of your sister brother towns in the county have gone to higher deductible plans, and including Washington County. So the municipalities inside of the county. This plan on the far right, it's a different company, but there's no deductibles whatsoever. It's still a traditional copay based plan. Okay. And as you go down this, you can kind of see, I won't go line by line. For the most part, it's better in most areas.
The biggest thing is the annual co-insurance out of network and all that. They're not even covering any of it.
When you say, well, today what you have, it's interesting because your current plan has 2 components to it, and that is something we have to talk about. But your current plan, you have an in-network benefit. Like you can see there, you go to the doctor, you pay $15. You go to the hospital, it's $500. That's if you're using a local Blue provider. Their network is a little smaller than MVP's. But what's interesting is you do have a safety net when if you use your plan out of network. So if somebody wants to go to a doctor with your current plan in New York City, they can, but it's going to hurt like heck. Okay, because you would have a $5,000, you have to pay the first $5,000 of charges up front. Then it's a 50-50 cost share. This is if you're, again, like the New York City example, you're out of area. That's your current plan. 5,000 deductible, and then 50-50 to a maximum of $10,000 out of pocket. Most people, from my experience over the years, they don't like it because it's just heavy. It's heavy out of pocket. So it's there as a safety net, but it doesn't have a tremendous value to anybody. From what I've seen, in my opinion, just because it's, you're going to pull out of your pocket.
So the MVP, the way it's set up on the last line farthest to the right is 24. And then 48 out.
That say 2,400 is for single.
Yeah.
And 4,800 is for family.
Okay.
Okay. Now, that's another thing on it's $400 higher than your current plan. No question. For a single, and it's $800 for a family. However, on the other side of it too, when you have a plan with only copays of $15 or $10 or $35 here, and generics are $5, it's a hard situation for somebody to accumulate to where they're even getting to $2,000 out of their pocket, because it's not like you have deductibles. You just have copays. So it is a difference. Obviously, have to talk about it and make sure everybody understands it. As far as people hitting it and pulling that money out of their pocket. I mean, imagine the number of doctor visits you have to have alone to try to get to $2,000 out of pocket, right? Because that's not the total cost of care. Out of pocket is just the member's cost, just the copay. So again, I won't go line by line, but you can see it's equal to or better in most areas. I guess on that out of pocket, if it was me, I'd probably add a plus or a minus. So on there, I'd say it's a minus because it's worse, right? If you go down on the primary care, it's a $10 copay, it's better. I'd probably put a plus there. On the specialist copay, it's a push. Put a P down. I don't know. I'm just making this stuff up as I go. So put on whatever you want. The inpatient hospital, today it's $500. It goes to $300, so that's better. Outpatient surgeries, not as good. You go from 100 to 200. Urgent care is better. Emergency is a little higher. Yeah, outpatient lab is a little bit better. More importantly, for where a lot of this hits most people, day-to-day doctor visits, prescriptions. Okay, so the prescriptions, you're better on the generic. It's equal on name brand. That's 10. Today, you're 10 generic, 30 name brand, and 60 for non-formulary. Moving to 5, which is a little better, and then 30, which is the same, and then 50 for the higher end ones. So, we can do, obviously, we can really put these side by side and blow this up a little bit more and get rid of some of the noise in the middle for companies that don't have, that can't really accommodate municipalities at this point in the practical sense. And really drill down and look at what it is. We're fortunate that they can do it. So, again, can cover retirees and we'll follow your practice.
For this year.
Yeah, everything here is 12 months.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah. So really, there are other options. You do have maybe, it's how much you want to bite off over time, but thinking forward in future years, there's a few levers you can pull, of course, and a lot of these, but one of them is changing your plan design. Of course, that's obviously one. Every year you have that ability to change. You can go from platinum to gold. You can do things like that. You obviously can change your employee contribution, which you're aware of, and we can start to look at higher deductibles, which Many towns have done this. They've gone to a higher deductible plan and set up a reimbursement for the employees, keep them as whole as possible. And in general, the math works in doing that. And
What about co-insuring?
how do you mean? It's that only say that because that word means a lot of different things in our business.
I worked for a company before that we co-insured. Very high deductible.
Mhm.
Okay. The company held the money. Okay, so when one of the employees had to use it, it came out of that fund there to help offset
Yep.
the deductible.
Yes, and that's what I was referring to with the HRA, which is a health reimbursement arrangement.
Yes,
So it's the same thing, same exact thing, really. It would be held by the employer, by the town. And then you would reimburse your 18 members as they used it. So across the board, you're going to have, out of 18 members, you're going to have some people, it's just like any company. Any group of 20 people, you're going to have some that use the heck out of it and some that don't use it at all and a few in the middle. So there'll be certain people you don't reimburse. And that's where some of the savings is. You self-insure. Exactly.
Didn't you tell me we're doing some of that already?
We just did it with the hospital.
well, I'm just thinking if we do that, our rates, because our deductibles all change then. Okay. And by putting X amount of dollars aside as a reimbursement fund, we can take that money, do the reimbursement, keep our deductibles way up there, which is gonna lower our rate for our overall insurance plan.
Mhm.
Okay, and go that rate. Cause you'll take that policy now that you've got using the last one on the page, okay, of 2479, okay, and you'll probably drop that down probably somewhere around 1900.
Yeah, exactly. So in on page 2, I do have some examples of that, and I will say that we can go further with it. The point that the sweet spot for these types of plans, I will say, it's so regulated that if you could have, you could have technically a bronze plan with a $6,000 deductible for somebody. There's just not enough savings to make it worth it
Right,
for a bronze plan, but the sweet spot is in like the $2,500 deductible range, where those are priced nicely. What we do have that on the next page if you want to look at it. And from there, we can discuss additional options and how far you want to go with it. So look with me, second column from the right, that's an MVP. It's actually still a gold plan, even though it's a high deductible. We can look at the next level for silver ones, and I can, give you that analysis. But basically, this plan, in many ways, it's better, okay? And I'll explain, because it does have a $1,600 deductible. Everybody see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so 16 for single, 3,200 for family. You as the town would be reimbursing. And it's something we don't recommend that you do internally, by the way. We have the insurance carriers help you with that.
You mean the accounting?
The accounting of it, we have some accounting of it on your end, nothing too heavy though, but just the claim paying side of it. You have people coming in, paying their doctor visit, and they're going to ask Colleen or somebody for reimbursement. And it becomes a little bit burdensome, so it's better to hand it off.
I had one of those when I had my business years ago. But then all my guys were young. And I had very few claims to pay.
Yeah.
We ended up giving 2/3 of it back at the end of each year.
Right. So with that plan, I don't want to go too fast or too slow. So any
I'm just helping them out.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you take 4,000 over, a 4,000 credit over 12 months.
So the math works, right? It does. So the difference is you have now it wouldn't be direct, right? Because you have a contribution of 95%. So some of the savings,
Right.
you paid so much of it. So we obviously, the point of tonight, it was for me to give you the lay of the land of what we have in front of us, right? The challenges and what option we have. Seemingly, if we agree, it seems like MVP really would be the option with short term. And then now it's, okay, how
Is
much
that
of
on
this
the
do you
second
want to
page or
bite
the
off?
First page.
I'm on the second page
Okay,
for now.
all right.
That's still MVP though.
Okay, that's nice. You know.
yeah, it's MVP with higher deductibles.
Yes.
Well,
Higher
we
copays.
talked about that month and a half
Well,
ago.
the whole thing is if
Yep.
we do it this way and you compare it, okay, and this is just using the figures without the employees percentage and all that. Right now, we're at 2458. You go back to this page, the second one in from the right, you're at 2051.
Mhm.
Roughly, you got a savings there of $4,000 a month. Okay? You take that 4,000 per person, you put that in a co-insurance. Your co-insurance now is in a reserve, so if Colleen or family member goes, we pay a portion of their deductible and we cover it because it's already been saved over here.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, Colleen, more paperwork for you, honey. But you're looking at a
Now-
savings of 4,000 times 18. Okay, times 12.
Yeah, I mean, it's. If we want to look at that option, we can certainly, and it makes sense. That's why I have it on here. We do it for other towns. I think it makes sense over time. You know, it's how much, what do you want to bite off this year and what do you want to push to the next year? Obviously,
Basically,
makes sense.
it's saving the money for the first year to have the reserve there. And that would have to go into the yearly budget.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, once we set that up in our yearly budget for the 1 year and one time only, our savings off the new plan should automatically be feeding that automatic.
It should. I mean, you have to look at the full analysis. So if you have, I'm comparing just to the MVP Platinum plan now. So you do have, your 18 people are spread around. So 3 of them are singles. And, you know, obviously we gotta complete the full math. So you go from 869 for what MVP will be versus 719. And I think it would still work. It would still work. You want to look at these from a worst case and then an expected scenario. So out of 18 members, we would have to plan from a budget standpoint, at least in year 1, on the worst cases, everybody would use it. So all of your 3 singles would use all $1,600 each. It's very unlikely, but we'd have to budget for that. And then you have 15 families, basically. Those 15 families, we'd have to budget for every one of them hitting the $3,200 deductible, which the town would reimburse them for. It's municipalities have done it. We've set it up because over time it does work. It's a change for your employees, but I will say it's not a bad change. Okay, so let me explain.
Well, their co-pays are cheaper.
They are. Yeah, you have a $1,600 deductible. So let me ask you all this. When you go to the doctor in this region, regular doctor's visit, what's a doctor visit cost around here roughly? Go to Iron Gate, let's call it, or Hudson Headwaters.
Probably 150.
Yeah, somewhere in that region, 100. Under today's world, they go to the doctor with Highmark, they pay $15. Right?
Yep.
And then Highmark cuts a check to the doctor, let's just say, for $135. So doctor, you know, all in $150. You go with MVP or any high deductible health plan for that matter. The $150 is due. Okay, there is no copay. The employee, they have to pay 100% of the charge for the first $1,600. But with that said, that's the kind of upfront bad news. But on the good news really is that they never end up paying it because the town does.
Reimburse.
You reimburse them. Yeah.
But, I mean, here's my first question is budget. This first year, that's gonna have to come out of our budget, what we just did now. We have to add money to it to be prepared for that.
You'd have to have different bucket for it. What I don't know is what you budgeted. What percentage did you guys put in?
Yeah, it's basically the bottom line of the original one. That's the budget.
Yeah,
The bottom line of this one here that we were talking about going with. So that's collected to us. And it's just a lot of numbers you have to figure out that do we have enough money to.
Yeah.
If you have a bad first year, that's the only thing I worry about because it's a good plan. Probably by the third year. You know, or maybe even at the
Yeah,
end, the second year.
it just depends. What we don't know, what we'll never know is what the type of health is of your 18 people. You know, I mean,
The whole thing is gonna be that you're gonna have to come back and we're gonna have to have everybody in here. And it's a selling point because a lot of it is very confusing.
so
I would
If
think,
everybody was a family plan, we'd be talking about roughly $57,600. That's if everything was a family plan. To have enough in reserve. But you know different than I do how it breaks down.
I would think a way
That's
to
based on
ballpark
18
what you should
people.
have in reserve would be the delta between the two plans. One, I'm just
Yeah,
thinking of
so-
a number. If one plan is $10 and one is 8, then set 2 aside if you buy the 8.
so
Yeah.
the principle behind it,
Rough, but
if you budgeted at that 7.18%, if that was your budget, because that's what we knew
That
at
was
the
the one
time.
from over here.
Yeah, with Highmark.
Yeah.
So if you want to write this
7.18.
down, the total of all those people times all those premiums comes to about 385,000, 385K,
that's the 7.18.
Yeah.
380 what?
5.
7 point what? 18?
That's
talking-
the front
yeah.
page, second column.
Yeah.
That's the
385.
one we thought we were gonna be using.
Yes.
Right.
So let's just say for now, that's the benchmark, right? That's the water line. So the high deductible health plan with MVP that we're talking about, that's 321K.
That's second page, second from the right,
Yes,
the minus 10.5%,
yes,
321.
321. So we've got a difference of 64,000 between the two, which that pile, that
Good save.
savings, of
Yeah.
course, you got to cut it up by 95% and all that.
Mhm.
But that pile is theoretically what we'd be using to set up the reimbursement
For
back
the
to the
first year.
employees.
Mhm.
So,
And like I said,
Which is what I said,
for, huh?
said.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
saying that we're gonna need roughly $57,000.
Yeah.
That's if everybody's on a family plan. My rough figures.
and
So you've already got the money of the $64,000 to set it aside.
yeah, the math, the perfect
And
scenario
that's
with
not
these,
taking into account what's coming out of the folks' paychecks either.
You also gotta figure the 5% that the employees take and pay for.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you might have to raise that a little bit.
Huh?
You might have to raise that a little bit.
As a family, do they need to have a family plan that has like a single plus one? Or a family,
We have
Yep.
that now.
you have that, okay, good, that's good, that's a good thing to have.
Yep,
Tell you what.
absolutely. So the ideal scenario, if the math works out perfect, is that you will, as a business, as a town, you will save enough in the differential between the premiums to be able to cover 100% of the risk. Okay, meaning everybody used it. Now, probably from all the years of us doing this and having reimbursement accounts, my
50-50
guess
crapshoot.
is, I'm sorry?
I said a 50-50 crapshoot.
Well, I think probably see an 80% reimbursement level. Okay, so out of whatever 80% of 1,600 is, roughly that's what it would end up. You'd be, because again, some people you're going to reimburse the whole nut, and some you're going to do a couple $100 a year. That's it. Right? Because they're healthy, they don't need it. So I guess not that I don't know if you can guess the one thing I'd like to leave with tonight is, do we have, and again, I don't want to, you have to, I don't know if you can vote on it tonight, but at least we would want the direction of, all right, we have to consider MVP and we can focus on that because of your early retirees.
Got no other way to go.
Yeah,
I-
it sounds like
I-
it's
I don't think you
MVP.
got a choice.
I don't think we have. a
Sounds like it's
choice.
MVP
Yeah.
platinum or MVP gold.
Yeah, and I think what I'll do from here too is I will model out a silver one. I can get it to you guys. I think it'll make some sense once we can thin some of this out.
We want
Put it
good
for the-
coverage for our employees, no matter what.
Mhm.
Okay? And of course, on the tax basis, we gotta watch what we spend. But it looks like if we go either with that, like Jim said, okay, either with the platinum or the gold, we have enough in reserve. Especially if we go with, what is it, the gold?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. It gives our employees good coverage. It's a little bit more. Okay. But overall, in my eyes, this is only me talking, we'll have our reserve fund already set up. Okay. And I'm calling it co-insuring.
Does this make you nervous?
You got any problem with it, Pauline? That you see?
Talking to boiled barn owl.
Well, I'll just expand on my thought earlier. We don't have any of them where we recommend that the town administers it yourself for a lot of reasons. It's gonna add more work. You cross over a whole bunch of HIPAA privacy rules. We generally we would have MVP do it. MVP is gonna charge a little bit to do it. Couple bucks here, it's not heavy. We would calculate that into your liability. Okay, but what's nice about when you have the insurance carrier do it is they pay the providers directly. Your employees have very little involvement in pushing paper all over the place. It's
Yeah.
big.
It also insulates us from having to make payment judgments or whatever.
Now, what's
Exactly.
that happen? I got the one more question. I can't remember because when we did it in the private sector, when we reimburse, that becomes a what's the word I'm looking for? On their
Well,
taxes.
It's not taxable as long as you have a plan document and you're following the IRS code,
Okay,
which we would.
because I don't want to get the employees stuck in,
Yeah.
this
Nope.
situation that we're reimbursing them. And now it comes into a situation of increasing their salary by
Right.
reimbursement. I don't want that to happen.
If you decide to go this route, it's pretty tried and true. You wouldn't be the first by any stretch, to do it. And it's working. It's different. It'd be different for the employees. It needs some explanation, obviously. You would have a couple things going this time. You would have a change of carrier and a potential change of plan and mechanism, how you're doing it. But I don't know. It's over time. If you hang around long enough in this region, you kind of get to try them all out. All the carriers, I think. You guys have been fortunate to have stayed with one for years, but again, they pulled the plug on us for municipalities is what they've done.
What would our total be on the MVP platinum?
That HMO that we were looking at far
Yeah.
right, that
Yeah,
was 388.
388.
So yes, it's probably between the platinum plan and the gold plan with reimbursing. It may turn out from a budget standpoint to be a push. Because we have to account for everybody using it, even though they may not. But yes, in year 2, if only people use 80% of it, then you have a little bit of cash going into the year 2 and beyond. So yes. You have, from a budget standpoint, it's probably equal though.
So what do you need to hear from us tonight?
Well, I think it's 2 things. I probably need to do some more analysis for you.
Well, that's what I was just gonna say.
Yep.
What what's gonna happen even in my mind too, because I'm trying to go across and look at each one of these. Let's get rid of everything that we're not talking about. And we're talking about the second page. Right, the second page, the MVP.
Yeah.
And trying to calculate it, what it is from the first page of the plan that we're talking.
Yep.
Like I'd like to go and just cut this off and then have it side by side. It'll give you a better explanation to people of what they're physically gonna pay, because some of these really look different. I just, it's hard for me to calculate it, but this plan here on the annual copay limits, 5,000 to 10,000, back here it's 2,000 to 4,000. That's a big number.
It is.
If you do it that way, that's a
Yep.
big number.
Yeah, and of which, well, it's a fair point. I think
And-
what,
But
to your point,
what
though,
I'm just saying is that the copays, on some of the copays are down, yes. Like the next one, what I'm looking at. The preliminary care visit, it's on this one here, 10, and on this one it's 15, so that's that's a wash as far as I'm concerned. But some of them get up to 20 to 35. Now, the other one I worry about is a $200 one. Inpatient hospital,
yeah, so that plan,
and this is 500, so it's a better deal.
That's right.
It's.
I think it
hard to-
is.
Yeah, it's one's up, one's down.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I'm just saying. It's, because you're gonna have to explain it to 20 people.
Yep.
And
so
But if you.
what I'll do,
So, give me
no,
one
of
second.
course,
If we do the. Probably not the right term, the co-insurance thing, it's gonna flatten those differences out,
Mm.
you know?
Well, that, you take all your deductibles now. We're doing the deductible,
Yeah,
okay, based on an 80%. So you're making 20, and I'm using these figures, saving 20%. Because you're not going to pay out the full 100% on deductible.
it's $10,000 a year.
That's right.
per
So we
person.
take the 10,000
So
and we put it and keep it in that fund and build off of that. It takes about 3 years, 4 years,
Well, that's what I thought. 3 years would be. try to
Okay.
get protected.
unless they change it. Okay, but just in that savings alone with the co-insurance and the 20%. Your fund is starting to build off that 20%.
if it doesn't work, we're not locked into it for 20 years.
No,
1 year.
no, these are 12-month decisions, really. They are just. the
I
way-
mean, we almost got no choice.
the whole thing is like I said, is to make
Right.
sure that
Yeah, well, MVP is choice, is obviously, that's the one you don't have a much of a choice of. Once you're in the MVP.
Yeah.
Boat per se, you can do platinum, gold, silver, whatever, but what I'll do, I think that's fair. So as long as we've agreed to somewhat that we're either want to go or have to go to MVP. Because of the early
Can you leave the
retirees.
high mark column in there? just a
Yeah, no,
comparison?
Sure.
That one in there, you would have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
what
kind
you
of
would
the
have,
Basis at this point that we can't buy.
right. We'll get it down to one page. Platinum, gold, I'll put in silver there with the financials, and then we can do it again, or you can, I think it'll start to make sense of what it will look like and what I would expect it to be a year from now. So we're here, it's the 5th. I mean, I can probably get something maybe by the end of the week, I think, to you. Okay, to Colleen and to you, and you can distribute it. And then, you guys tell me when you want to do the next round, we can drill down. There's an easy one for me. I live over the mountain, so. I'm happy to come over.
Yeah, I'm
every
trying
time.
to, I know you didn't want, but the nighttime would be better for everybody's usually here. Now Mike's stuck in New Jersey, so. But during the day, a lot of them all out working. It's tough to get and to sit down, two of us, without having a third one to make it a meeting.
I'm with you.
It's tough to do that.
No, this is, there's some change, so we got to do a few baby steps on it. It's all good by me.
And now, but there's no changes, I think, on the 65 and over. All the other stuff that we have to do for those people.
Yeah, so your
There's no-
vision, a
Just
couple,
what you gave us last month is about the same.
No change.
No
Yeah,
change.
Humana, you absolutely don't want to move away from Humana. They are,
right,
yes, they are the best by far.
And I've done-
Um,
Down the road.
you budgeted for that. There's a little bit of a change in the rate, but they're still much, much lower than anybody else.
We're talking about the Humana for the 65 and all. That's gonna stay pretty much the same. That we already got figured in.
Yeah, and the dentals doesn't affect you and the vision doesn't affect you. That's all employee paid. And that's changing. Actually, the vision's not changing, the dental's changing by pennies, a couple pennies here and there. But that doesn't affect you from a budget standpoint. So
That's
unless,
just a stupid question. We got these cards that do good for $100. These plans still have that?
spend them, yeah, spend
Yeah.
them now,
Oh,
right,
you mean
before December 1st.
Okay.
Yeah,
You don't think they'll be next year, huh?
there'll be something. MVP has something on the wellness side, but it's, you know, Highmark gave away, yes, they gave you that card that you could use for gyms and chiropractic and,
That's all I use mine for, the chiropractic.
yeah. Actually, I think, well, I think they stopped doing chiropractic now they think about it, but wellness stuff, you could use a GNC, you could use it. But MVP doesn't do it that way. They do it a little bit differently, which we'll drill into. Anything else for me?
No. So I mean, CDPHPs, you don't recommend it at all.
They can cover your early retirees. They just,
Oh, they don't do spouses. Okay.
they don't
just-
do the
yeah,
spouses.
but
And
I mean,
you know, how Murphy, you have people like that now and Murphy's Law will tell you, you'll get 5 more of them before, the end of the year. That's just how it works with, with things. So it's just, no,
Well,
they're kind of out.
a lot of towns don't. We have never done it. Maybe we should have, who knows? But if you retire at 55, a lot of towns don't pay anything until you go on Medicare. And,
Yeah, it's a
you know,
mixed bag a little.
We carry people that want to retire at 55, then they come back and work part-time for us,
There you go.
which is good because we don't pay any other benefits, but it's still.
Right, right.
I thank you very much.
You're welcome. Moving on some
Thanks.
stuff.
All right, but yeah, if you
Alright.
get
Yeah,
these a
thank you.
little broken
forward
down
to it.
now to different, so we can just go right across the 3
Yeah, we'll
columns,
put it-
4, it's fine.
Something that makes a little more sense.
Because I'm half blind, I can't even see with reading glasses.
Yeah, if you can pull those. Give us a rough idea on an 80% turnover type of situation. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what we're looking for now.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I haven't, it's filtered down to what I.
All right,
Good to
Thank
see
you.
thanks for
Thank you.
coming. We'll
Thank
talk
Thank
to
you
you.
very much.
stopping in.
Appreciate it. Me too.
I hope I didn't blow your mind too bad.
Don't shut it off yet.
What?
I just want to give this guys a little tiny report when you want me to,
A what report?
a little report on trucks.
Oh, on trucks.
Take a minute.
All right, go ahead. It's not supposed to do anything
Paul, I
else.
already told you this stuff, but this is for Tim and for Gene. I went to 3 dealers. I went to Whiteman, Mohawk and Mackey. Whiteman didn't seem interested. I actually hand delivered our buildings and grounds bid package, hand delivered and said, please bid it. Mohawk is very interested. In fact, did we get a bid from them, Cindy? You know, Mohawk Chevrolet?
Bid came in today.
Okay, that might be theirs. They have a truck that pretty closely fits the ticket.
We ain't get the money though.
I don't know. I'm not worried on that. Mackey Ford by exit 15 said Ford's not allowing them to bid anything right now, which is what the guy from Warrensburg said. I also emailed the bid packets to Denoyer on Wolf Road. Denoyer is interested, so I think we'll get a bid from them. And a couple days ago, I spoke to DePaula. Paul, I forgot to ask him about a lease. They said they probably wouldn't be interested, but he would get back to me in a day or two, which would be tomorrow or Friday.
All right.
Well, when he gets back, you ask him about a lease.
I will. But we definitely have enough stuff here to say we tried to get bids.
Yeah.
That's, I guess that's my point.
Well, my other thing that these gentlemen all have to think about is to raising our procurement policy up to $40,000 at least. Definitely 3 signatures of board members, that you can go buy a used truck without a problem.
Well, I'm not advising this or a proponent of this, but the Mackey guy told me that a lot of municipalities are calling it an emergency now,
Yeah, well. That's a big.
including the
phrase.
truck that I saw delivered to the town of Saratoga while I was there.
Uh-huh. Well, it could be emergency sometimes, like in our case with the buildings and grounds. I mean, they were almost ready for a second new truck.
Yeah.
I was looking at one of them the other day. Geez, it's rusty as all hell, but.
So,
Rusty as all heck.
yeah.
All right, you guys, all right, we can call the meeting. Get
I make a motion.
Second.
We got a
Yeah, go ahead.
second.
Is that what you were trying to say?
All in
Aye.
favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, gentlemen. That was good, not even an hour.
So we'll see everybody next Tuesday.